Yep, ready to go.
All right. Well, Chris, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Thank you guys for coming down to us.
Yeah, I mean, this is, we were saying before the podcast, I didn't realize how massive this space is. It's impressive. It's cool.
Very cool space.
Yeah.
Old tobacco warehouse. I mean, this is historical Danville.
Yeah. Well, and Danville's kind of an up-and-coming area.
It seems to be coming up. That's exactly right. It's had its hits, but it is on its way up.
Yeah. And you, before the podcast, you were telling me there's like 56 apartments right above this brewery.
Correct.
So
the guys that started the brewery are developers, and so they basically own a number of the buildings in this what is a River District area of Danville, which is kind of an up-and-coming old warehouse loft-type apartments. And so they built the apartments, thought this was a perfect space for a brewery, and ultimately ended up starting it themselves. That's how this came to be. That was 2017. I think June 2017 is when Ballad first opened its doors.
Okay. And so you were operating and still are operating Three Roads Brewery.
Correct.
And you acquired Ballad.
Correct.
So take me through that journey. What's your
basically
professional...
we started Three Roads Brewing in Farmville, Virginia in September of 2017. And the whole goal there, the idea there is that my wife and I moved to Farmville, Virginia in 2012, and realistically the town was just cute town, really cute town. 2 universities, and it seemed to us that it was trying to not be a university town. So I got together with a half dozen other guys, and we thought that if we could start something that we could spur the development of nightlife, recreational activities in the town. And so we landed on a brewery and started Three Roads Brewing in Farmville, Virginia in September of 2017. And really have been successful as far as there now at least a half dozen other restaurants, and there's much more nightlife in town. So that was the ultimate goal. And then, just to give you the whole history of Three Roads.
Sure.
Lynchburg, downtown folks in Lynchburg, Virginia, visited our brewery and asked us if we might be interested in putting a brewery in Lynchburg. We frankly couldn't believe that there wasn't one already in Lynchburg. So we jumped on that, and I want to say got right in the middle of COVID as far as trying to build it. And I think we opened it in 2021.
Okay.
And that was going gangbusters. So we just thought Danville was a natural sort of an extension. So we're Farmville is about an hour east of Lynchburg, and both are about an hour to an hour and a half south or north of Danville. So we got a nice triangle, south central Virginia.
Okay, so you have one in Farmville, one in Lynchburg, and those are both Three Roads, and then you have Ballad here in Danville.
Correct.
Got it. And we've just started working together, and you're kind of just getting rolling here. As far as branding goes, you keep the brands separate. So from a customer-facing standpoint, they don't know that Three Roads and Ballad are connected, right?
Well, they do, but the brands are still distinct and separate.
Right. Okay.
We serve Ballad beer in the Three Roads Taprooms. We serve Three Roads beer in the Ballad tap.
Okay.
And we're not hiding, or hiding's the wrong word.
Yeah.
You're trying to disguise that
right.
collaboration.
Customers can tell there's a relationship there. Okay. Got it. So
we are trying, though, but your point is good, because we are trying to figure out how to differentiate those brands so that we're not stepping on one another's toes.
Right.
So if we've got a great lager, we don't want to also compete with the Ballad lager.
Right.
We'd like to, and so we think we've got that. We've got the outlines of that sort.
What do those outlines look like?
Well, I think that Three Roads is going to focus more on lagers, ales, and IPAs, and Ballad will be focused. They've got a great Pilsner and a couple of light lagers, but they're really, really good in the sour space. So I think that we're going to focus, kind of separate in those sorts of directions.
That makes sense. And are both breweries, I mean, this is a huge tap room here in Danville for Ballad. Are both breweries kind of a hybrid model of distribution and tap room, or is it more distribution focused?
Farmville is mainly tap.
Okay.
It's a 7-barrel system, so it's a smaller system. And it's a startup. And when we built Lynchburg, we built the production facility. So it's a 20-barrel brew house with 40-barrel fermenters and bright tank. So that's shooting for about. And this is a 20-barrel system as well. We bought Ballad. One of the attractions was that Farmville, or so 3 Roads, was roughly 70% taproom, 30% distribution at that point in time. So that's about a year ago.
Yeah.
And Ballad was exactly the opposite, about 30% taproom and 70% distribution. So the marrying of the two has helped us accelerate the distribution footprint for 3 Roads.
That makes sense. Okay. Yeah. One of the things I was wondering was, we've been speaking with a lot of brewery and distillery and winery owners, and it's no secret that times are kind of tough right now for breweries, and there's some struggles in the industry. So what was the main thing that made you want to acquire another brewery after having navigated the space for a couple of years now?
Well, it was a good opportunity. It made good financial sense.
Yeah.
It's truly that was really, we had our eyes on Danville as an opportunity for another tap room. And when Ballad came available, realistically, the price tag was about or less than what might cost us to open our own tap room.
Okay.
So it just made financial sense, and we wanted to expand this direction anyway. It just made sense, logistically, geographically. It's really more that than anything else.
So rather than having to build your own new tap room, it's just let's acquire this one.
Correct.
Got it. So have there been any, when you look at the playbook for 3 Roads, you've had a lot of success with 3 Roads and built it to the point where expansion made sense and you were looking to expand. What are some of those pieces of the playbook that you're trying to apply to Ballad that, you're using to expand the business even further?
Well, so you're making a major assumption. We have a major plate. There's a lot of seat. There's a lot of seat at the pants. It's but we have graduated to the point with the addition of Ballad and 2 tap rooms that production capacity at Farmville. At 3 Roads, that we really are beginning to and have to start to treat this like a real business. And so the whole idea of marketing and branding and and identifying, defining, honing your brand are really that is the mission for year end 2024 and all into 2025 is to really kind of who do we communicate to, how do we communicate to them, where do we communicate to them, and one of the greatest things. And so I entered this business. I'll back up. I have no consumer product background. I am a real estate finance guy.
Yeah.
Commercial real estate. Started investment banking. Grew up in Louisiana. Started working in Houston, Texas. Went to New York, to London. Went sailing for a while. Came back. So this is really kind of a new venture for me. And so we're just having a good time, really. And so the whole idea of a consumer product business and how to grow it, is new to me. So we're kind of feeling our way as we go.
Yeah. Well, it seems like though you've had a solid amount of success with it over the years. You've been 3 Roads since 2017, you said, and we're 2024 now, so we're 7 years in.
It's been great, and so we've the objective is to grow this into a real significant business.
So I'm curious though, because we talk to so many people, and so many people in this industry, breweries, are struggling financially. Sales are not coming in, struggling to fill their tap room, struggling to get beer off the shelves from a distribution standpoint. So it seems like you have been operating it like a business. I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit. So what do you think are those things that made you...
Yeah, we're making a good point. Where I was going with that other is the thing that struck us as our, the first time that we sold to a so we started off with self-distribution. The first sale, holy cow, we've made it, we're going to sell. Then you realize almost immediately after that, I've got to also go find the guy that's going to buy it out of that. So that is the real challenge, to my way of thinking, is how do we position ourselves? How do we sell who we are, what the experience is to the end consumer that comes back into the convenience store or the grocery store and says, "Oh, I want that."
Mm-hmm.
So that's the challenge. The business, we have been starting off small in Farmville, and basically being the only game in town was certainly helpful. And that taproom has been very successful, and that helped us. We kind of defined ourselves. We need to own Farmville. As we went to Lynchburg, we need to own Lynchburg as it relates to distribution, and then kind of grow out from there. And we kind of brought that here to Danville as well, really trying to focus back in. But we're experiencing the same problems, right? We've got a great following at Farmville. Lynchburg is growing. Danville is, I think it peaked, and then it seems to have waned a bit. And part of the reason that we're pushing real hard is to kind of bring that back. And we got a great space here. We've got a great feel here. And my vision all along was, and having spent some time in England, one of the things I always loved was the English pub, which is really a place where you have all walks of life come into one place. I mean, you talk about a place for community. Each town has one or two pubs, and you find people from all walks of life, right, that are communing.
Yep.
You got the punk rocker with the mohawk, and you've got the bus driver, you've got the banker, whatever, all hanging out together. And so that's really what we want to be in all three of our tap rooms, and that's really what we want the beer to be, is something that brings people together.
Yeah. No, I love that. And so from a expansion standpoint, it seems like the strategy was, you pick a spot where you're the only game in town, right? They're
We're smaller towns. That's correct.
In smaller towns, and you kind of dominate locally.
That's our hope.
And you're right. And then, once you do that, you can expand to the next town. And
it's a matter of, still a marketing standpoint, you really need to be recognized. I mean, so we have the most leverage, in our hometown. Right? If people know who we are, they can buy into who we are, why we are, where we are.
Yeah.
I mean, if I take 3 roads to Virginia Beach, who the hell am I other than, any other beer that's in Virginia Beach? There's any number of breweries in Virginia Beach, and how do I? So that's kind of the hard part from my perspective.
Yeah.
How do we get to the point where we can be recognized in foreign markets?
Right.
The foreign market's just 20 miles away.
Yeah.
As opposed to the markets that are our home. So we got 2 things going for us here. Is we got good beer, but we also got a location.
Yeah.
And so we can bring people into our location and tell them who we are.
Yeah.
But at the grocery store, how do I tell them who I am? I mean, that's and that's where you guys come.
Right. Well, yeah, this is a conversation that we've been having internally on our team a lot. And I think what we've pretty much landed on from what does it take to expand regionally or nationally standpoint is, the first is exactly what you're doing, where you start local and you dominate in a densely populated area, and then you kind of gradually widen the circle.
We missed on that density part.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. But you got 80% of it down. So you start local and kind of expand that radius outwards, and the angle that you play there is that, hey, we're local. You want to buy this over Bud Light or something else.
Support a local business.
Yeah, support a local business. So that's kind of step one. But I think what it takes to grow on a more regional or national level, it really comes down to branding, because there are plenty of breweries that have good beer, and it's tough to compete just on the taste of beer because
you might like something completely different than us, right?
Yeah,
we may both like exceptional beer, but what you consider to be an exceptional beer and what I consider, it's not the same thing. So,
yeah, so it's all brand.
Exactly,
it's all brand, and what we've been kind of the consensus that we've come to, and that we're trying to kind of help our clients figure out now, is what does your brand stand for, and who is this for? And I think a lot of breweries and wineries and distilleries struggle with that, because it's an industry where it's like beer is for everybody, wine is for everybody, spirits are for everybody. It doesn't really matter what you're interested in, but the brand kind of has to pick something that they stand for to appeal to a specific segment of the market in order to stand out. And I think that's hard to do, to figure out who you are if you're looking to expand regionally or nationally.
Very hard.
Yeah.
what are the touch points? What are the linchpins? What's going to drive somebody to identify with who you say you are? And you got to be authentic, right? You've got to be who you say you are.
Right.
I mean, people see some bullshit right away, and so that's the worst thing you can do is try to be something that you're not. So really believe in what you are. So, it's a difficult proposition, and it's soul searching and iterative, because you're going to think you're this and think you're that.
Yeah.
So we're going through all of that right now, trying to figure those things out.
So not to put you on the spot, but if you had to give an answer to that, what do you think you guys stand for?
It's adventure, open road, kind of the adventure. The trip is the destination, so to speak. We kind of go through life with goals, right? I say, okay, when I get promoted to this, everything's going to be good. When I get here, and basically none of that stuff is what you thought it would. And the journey, is the adventure, is the event, so to speak.
Yeah.
So the journey is the destination. So that's comfortable pair of jeans, good music, kicking back, travel. We got a couple of taglines that we kind of come up with that I really like taste travels. So I love that. And we brew community is something, because that's really more taproom focused than it is.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to.
It's like enjoy the journey with a beer along the way.
Exactly.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah, and it's a good message for people too. I think
somehow there is something romantic or exciting or about a road trip. We kind of envision the open road different than it probably is, but I just want to get in my car and drive. I'd love to drive across country, and do only back roads or Route 66 or all of those things. There's something about the American experience that is engaging or attract.
Is that message more specific to Three Roads?
That part probably is, yeah.
Because I imagine it's
Ballad. Ballad, you end up even playing with this, because I think that the guys, Ballad. The reason for the name Ballad is there's a song, and I can't. It's an engine. I said I need make Jason in you, but there's a song about a train that I'm going to get to. I love. My dad used to sing me this song, so it's an old, country bluegrass kind of folk song.
Yeah.
But there's a train from Lynchburg to Danville, that wrecked. And so that's what this is.
The train was named Ballad?
No. The song is a ballad about the train.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So basically, I think that the music and ballads is what we really should be focusing on as this brand. Song in every beer, or does this bring up, and I went through some of these swearing with my son. But anyway, that's the kind of thing I think we're going to push that direction.
Yeah.
A song in every glass, or we'll make sure. I don't want to go farther than that, because it make you have a couple of these you'll be singing in the rain.
Yeah, especially if we got the double IPA out here. So if you had to think about that, a song in every glass, what segment of the market do you think that appeals to? Who is your customer? If you had to describe an avatar for that.
I really, that's really some of the work that needs to be done.
Right. It's hard. Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, and if you look at who comes into the tap room, it's his 25 to 50, and it's, all kinds of groups, et cetera. So I don't have a clear definition. That's really and the work that needs to be done. I'm serious that's really where we got to kind of figure out who do we want to target.
And I think 99% of brewery owners probably would not have an answer to that. And I think it's a challenge because the target avatar that you go after from a distribution standpoint, I think often is different than who comes in your tap room. Because your I think it's almost as if it's a little bit of different brands in a way, because the tap room, it's you're kind of promoting almost like that pub atmosphere where everybody can come together and have a good time, which I think works for a tap room, especially a place like this where it's just an awesome experience and you can do cool events and all sorts of things in here. But yeah, I guess you just really have to zero in on it once you get outside of that, local, the local pull that you have.
To sell it. So I can invite you in here and you can see it and feel it when you come, right?
Yeah.
Taste it or whatever, you can smell it. But if I'm a can on the shelf, and you can't smell or taste or feel any of those.
Yeah, you got to communicate it.
It's got to be
like
communicated.
that.
I got an image on the can or a name that says, oh, yeah, I know what that means.
Yeah, yeah,
So that's really a promotion and advertising. You really got to figure out who you're going after.
yeah.
And we all love music, but not everybody likes ballads, right? Or not everybody likes country. So I don't know how you then, differentiate all of that.
I mean, I definitely think there's something there, and I'm excited to see kind of how you guys start to expand, from a regional and further on standpoint. It's gonna be cool to see the brand kind of evolve in the labeling and.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, that's like the fun part of all this is it's the creative side of it. So, you started out at Three Roads, you acquired Ballad. Do you see yourself acquiring any more breweries in the future?
That's a possibility. That's not a plan.
Okay.
That would be opportunistic if something came along that made sense.
Mm-hmm.
But that right now we're trying to digest what we have.
Yeah.
And figure out how we grow that.
Mm.
And right now, and realistically, if I were to kind of pencil that out, I'd say another location might be good,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know that I want another brand.
Yeah.
And so realistically, what you're paying for, or what somebody's going to value that's trying to sell,
Yeah.
is what they've built and their brand and their audience, et cetera. And I don't know that we need another one of them.
Yeah. Well, I guess there's, and this is just me kind of thinking out loud, but I guess there's kind of two ways to scale here. It's one, you could take, one or two brands and build a really strong taproom presence, and then just build those brands outwards, regionally, nationally.
We're thinking about it now. So that's something.
Yeah. So
What's number two, right?
number two would be you don't focus on a huge distribution play for any of the brands, but you just keep acquiring tap rooms all over. You look for profitable tap rooms all across the country, and you're like,
Get your beers in those.
yeah, and- or you look for tap rooms that are, maybe already doing well, or you have a playbook for a profitable tap room.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, this one has some good things going, and I know if I just,
There are some guys that have, and several brands that have major tap rooms, across the country. Or
Yeah.
region, and that's an interesting sort of
different approach.
It is a different approach, and definitely a retail approach.
Yeah.
And one of the things we don't have in any of our tap rooms really is food. And so a lot of those, I think, are like full bar, full restaurant type
Yeah.
operations. I see that as a different, because we see ourselves, and this is really definitional, right? So we can change this definition. But right now, we define ourselves as a brewer.
Mm-hmm.
So a brewer brews beer to then,
Distribute.
Out.
Right. Yeah.
and so that's kind of the way we're viewing it. Now, what you're talking about, that other model is really more of a restaurateur or a retail
Yeah.
outlet, which is not a bad, but it's a different mentality.
It is. It's definitely a different mentality.
And I don't see, right now, I don't see ourselves in that realm.
Yeah. I think, and, there's different ways.
Yeah.
Everybody approaches it differently, but I
They can both be successful. There's no question
Right.
about that. Right?
Yeah.
And there's some that are enviable in their number of tap rooms and fairly sizable
Yeah.
locations, right? That attract a lot of people. There are some guys, there are people that are good at that business.
Mm-hmm.
Bring people in and they can create an environment, that people want to be in.
yeah.
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 That's a talent. That's a gift.
I have one of my best friends from college. His dad owns I think it's 80 restaurants. Wow. And he started from nothing, and they're all different brands. Some are the same. Some are a couple, maybe 5 restaurants that are a chain, but then he owns a bunch of others. And he's just really mastered that model of, I know what it takes to run a good restaurant. I have a playbook. I'm going to build that. And then I'm going to acquire another one. I'm going to install my playbook. And he just kept doing that over and over and over. And
A friend of mine in Farmville has got a place called the Fish and Pig that is there. It's a small franchise. There's 6 or 8 locations. This guy, he can set up the decor, set up the flow, and
yeah,
food and all. It's he replicate it. He's very talented at that, and they're very successful.
More than one way to skin a cat.
Exactly.
So one of the interesting things that you said is that in none of your locations you offer food. And
So we do food trucks, right?
You do food trucks.
Tends to be the
Okay.
typical taproom model.
Okay.
And we've done here and in Farmville, we are doing, we do, what do you call it? Ready to serve pizza.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We've got a local guy that makes some great organic, frozen pizzas, and so we heat them up, and so we can serve pizza when the food trucks aren't around. So
Okay.
we don't want to compete with them when they are around.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. Okay. I want.
Our whole objective, really, in that is that, if you come in and have a beer and we don't have food, you might leave. If we do,
Right.
grab a pizza, you might have another beer or two, and then.
I was gonna say, because that's one of the things that we've found that is just, it's crucial. It's crucial because it's the difference between people coming in for a beer or a couple beers, like making a night out of it. So, okay,
That's one of the things we keep track of is like, what is your average ticket? So that's sort of a metric.
yeah. Have you always offered food, or did you like?
No, just I want to say the last year.
So did you see once you started offering it, the average ticket price went up quite a bit?
We'll stay a little bit longer. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's in, I think it was episode 2 of the Beverage Biz podcast. We heard the exact same thing from Diamondback Brewing up in Baltimore. He said that like as soon as they installed brick oven pizzas in their brewery, and he said that was an absolute game changer for them. It's just like gets people to stay longer, and
Yeah, come in for the pizza and have a couple of beers, right?
Yeah.
You can make a night of it or an afternoon or evening of it or whatever.
yeah. Are there at any of your locations, do you offer soft drinks or any non-alcoholic drinks?
We do have an array of things.
Okay.
So we just started brewing our own, we call it designated driver hoppy water.
Okay. Nice. Is that like it's a non-alcoholic beer?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
It's not water. It's just seltzer water with hoppy.
Oh, cool.
I'd have to talk to the. And just, but we have, what's it, athletic NA beers, just
Yeah.
sodas for the kids.
Do you what percentage of
Sales,
I guess, come from
the NA stuff,
NA stuff? Yeah.
very small.
Very small.
Percent.
Okay. I bet though it probably helps more than you think because
basically, if you know that you can get a soda for your kid, then you
Yeah.
can come and have a beer,
yeah.
right, and get him a soda or her a soda and hang out for a while.
Yeah.
If there were no sodas, it makes it harder to.
The whole group doesn't come if one person. Yeah. We just speaking from personal experience, my wife doesn't drink at all, and if there's a brewery that doesn't offer non-alcoholic options, we're not going to go, even though I would go there and drink beer. But if there's not something for her, it's like,
Why do it?
yeah, I'm not going to go there and make her sit there and watch me drink beer.
Get your glass of water, honey.
Right. So, yeah, that's interesting. It's fascinating to see how the industry is changing with people drinking less nowadays. What do you make of that? How do you see the future of your business evolving with alcohol consumption going down?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, we're as small as we are. I don't see that as a trend standpoint as affecting us direct. But I don't know. We're still trying to grow. Our growth is going to be. I see it as a new entrant in the market as opposed to playing the trends per se. But the trend makes it more difficult to take space in the market.
Yeah.
I think that's an ebb and a flow sort of thing. I don't think that's a long range trend.
Yeah.
And you got more competition, right? So beer was hot, and beer is no longer hot. Now you got so much competition. You got seltzers, you got the hard seltzers, the hard lemonades, you got the ready to drink, who's it? TRD, what is that? I can't remember. Basically, you mix drinks, in the can.
Yeah. RTD, yeah.
Ready to, and so all of those competitions are, eating into the beer
Yeah.
business, and beer expanded so bigly, right?
Yeah. Timely. Yeah.
That everybody thought it was, that you got a lot of entrance into that market. So I think there's going to be some consolidation.
I think so. Yeah.
We intend to be one of the hangers on.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, we were having this conversation last week. It's like if you can just stick through it, I do agree there's going to be some consolidation. And I think I do think there are some breweries and, wineries and distilleries that will go out of business, unfortunately, just because I think that's just what happens in a competitive market. It's like the cream rises to the top, survival of the fittest.
Well, basically, if your rent's too high or you're financing, you're over leveraged. I mean, there are any number of little things that can
put you out,
slap you hard at the wrong time.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is,
no fault of your own. You
right.
Great beer and a great location, and that, work out.
You hate to see it happen, but it's just, it's kind of how markets work. But there are still plenty of people drinking beer. Mm-hmm. I always think of it like this in a, whenever there's a recession or something, and, let's say it gets really, really bad and there's like 20% unemployment. There's still 80% of people out there who are working and making money who you can market to.
Well, that 20% that's unemployed, they need the beers to
right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a pretty recession-proof industry. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think people tend to get scared by the trends, and, doom and gloom headlines always sell. Like, people are drinking less, you're going to go out of business. But I think if you do a good job if you make good beer, you offer a good taproom experience, you have good marketing, you're constantly reaching out to people, I think you can safeguard yourself pretty securely.
No, I would agree. That's certainly our intention. And, we've kind of always viewed it as that, you've got to have a certain level of liquid or you're not even.
Yeah.
And I believe, and have identification from the market anyway, that we've got good liquid. And so then it's a market, and it's a creating experience that people want to be a part of.
Yeah.
So that's the challenge, those two pieces, making sure that you got an environment that people want to participate in, and that you've got a program, an outreach that brings people in that they can identify with and going to be a part of.
Yeah. Yeah. Easier said than done.
Oh my God. It sounds easy, but it's very difficult.
Yeah.
I think it's
it is
challenging. It's exciting. It's interesting. It's fun.
Yeah.
But it's hard, and it's very hard, as you well know, but really hard to identify. Okay, I'd spent this much on that outreach program. How much, did that bring in?
Yeah.
It's really hard to tie those two together.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's
max, right? I know at least half my advertising dollars. I'm just not sure.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And I think from a marketing attribution standpoint, what people in this space need to realize is it's not a space where you can attribute success immediately. You need a long enough time horizon where
it's kind of it's like Pepsi, right? Pepsi's still, or Budweiser, right? Those guys are still advertising on the shoot. Why are they doing that? Everybody knows what Budweiser.
Yeah.
You got to stay in front of your mind.
Just touch points. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So that's really the kind of game you're playing.
Yeah.
If you were doing an online service, right, or an online business, then I could say, okay, that ad brought in 75 people, then clicked on my website and bought something.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't really do that. That 75 people, came in and bought something. You can't. That one-to-one is harder to.
Yeah. I mean, I come from the e-commerce space, so I'm used to a world where you sell products online, and you go to a website and you can sell T-shirts or whatever widget you're selling, and you can run a Facebook or Instagram ad. People click on that ad, go to the website, purchase that shirt right then and there, and then that data gets sent back to your Facebook ad account.
Okay, yeah.
You know how many sales you got for that day. You can say, today I spent $100 on ads and I got 10 sales, so I have a $10 customer acquisition cost, and I made this much money. But in this space, it's different because it's like, okay, I'm not going to be able to spend $100 today and definitively say that 10 people came in the tap room, because people aren't going to walk in and say, hey, I came in from a Facebook ad.
Yeah.
So
you could put a coupon, and they could bring the coupon to
yeah, there's ways to do it, but
the bigger piece, where I sit is that, how do you tell that it's back to the Budweiser and Pepsi or whatever, still how many people can go into the convenience store and buy the beer?
Uh-huh.
And you're going to have a hard time connecting those two to whatever you might have done.
Yeah.
So the whole familiarity, building a brand, building a recognition.
Uh-huh.
They go in, they see your can, and they say, "Oh, I remember Ballad. I remember."
Yeah, exactly.
Do you remember, honey, we were at such and such festival? I give that to you.
Yeah, you're just looking for increasing revenue trends over time, over an extended period of time. Like I always tell people, like, minimum 90 days, just give it time to kind of take off and build some momentum. And a good way to look at it is like, there's kind of, if you're a local tap room, there's basically, two ways to kind of get in front of people. You can either really hit the community events hard and, like get in front of people physically all the time and, be really involved with the community, which I think everybody should be doing. Or /end, you can advertise. And advertising is kind of like the community events on autopilot. It's like, you should do both, but you want to have something that is constantly getting in front of people and getting those touch points with your customers without you having to physically do anything.
I have a good friend that was involved in the Old Rock.
Mm-hmm.
He was telling me is that they did 500 festivals a year, like 4 or 5.
I'm like,
They had 2 or 3 teams. One of the beauties they had is as a cidery, they basically have a portable license. Wherever they set up, they've got their ABC license, so they don't have to get a special license or anything like that.
That's a loophole.
Crazy beneficial. Because every time you took your truck out, boom, you already had your ABC license. But
that's nice.
I may be misstating that, so if anybody from the EDC is watching this,
yeah.
But that's a lot of festivals. That's a lot of familiarity. If it's what do people do? Just remember, you're having it with that Old Rock, and we were at the festival at the Apple Tree.
Yeah.
Said those were so good, and we had such a good time. But that's really you're trying to create that image, right?
Yeah.
Feel.
Yeah.
And it's all about a feeling. We buy based on feeling. It's
emotion.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's,
just brand familiarity. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's
not easy to do.
It's a hustle. It's a grind. So, I know you guys are opening soon. I want to wrap up with one last question. What's next for Ballad? What's on the roadmap for this year, and what's the grand vision for this?
Well, our grand vision is, and really is to grow the brand, to identify the brand.
Yes.
And to bring more people into the tap room and to be a bigger player in the Danville market. That's a key piece part of it, which is back to the community and visibility and advertising. Then for the overall brand, I really want to grow into a regional brewery. I can't define exactly what that means, but realistically, we'll do 2,500 barrels this year. Mm-hmm. I'd like to do 3,500 next year. The next 5 years, I'd like to be up to 10 to 15,000 barrels.
Yeah, just keep growing it.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the journey.
Exactly.
It's about the journey with a beer along the way.
Exactly. More than one, I hope.
Right. Yeah. One daily beer.
Exactly. You've earned it.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Well, this is awesome. I appreciate you coming on. And
I appreciate it. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's been good working with your team, and we've just started.
Yep.
And, I'm looking forward to actually getting engaged and get the promotions and all that out there and see what we can do on this little tap. Yeah.
Well, no, we're excited to get ads and everything live for you, and it's going to be fun. We're going to pack this place in.
Absolutely. Thanks a million.
Cool. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. That was great.
That was good.